Up again. All right, so we're continuing on with our trying to move the child, like components around to each other. So here's like the state of what we have everything with right now. We have our, I guess these are all game nodes. So I'm going to say we have the scene. And then underneath the scene, we have a rocket. And then underneath the rocket, we have the cap and the engine. So it's sort of like a tree. I want to, at a specific time, take this cap and move it up here so that it would be a child of scene. Which really means when the rocket launches it off, I want to make it a child like of scene. Do I want to make it a child of scene, or do I want to make it a sibling of rocket? I think for right now, I just want to make it a sibling of itself. So what that means is if scene has a type, so if I basically have like, you know, type root, or maybe, oh, that's terrible. If I like have just scene is there, I have rocket as the type here. Obviously this will be cap as the type. Then maybe I can also give this, I ran out of colors to use. This would be like the type, right? Then maybe I can have a target. So when this happens, its target is none, 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 and your target now would be scene. I want you to now be a child of the scene as opposed to child of the rocket. Actually, maybe it would make sense. Of course, like this didn't work at all. Okay, what if I go in here? Okay, that works. Now I can see chat. Turn your volume down. I don't know if anybody sent any messages in between them. What if instead of none, I just said that you were, actually you would be none because you have no parent. I want you to be a child of the scene. You would be a child, to be consistent, let's give you the red too. Your type is engine. And your parent is rocket. Your type is cap, and your parent is now scene. So obviously, you are not scene. So like we compare, okay, scene with rocket here. You're not that. So go up and become a child of here. It's like emit up somehow. Like, hey, rocket, reach into all of your children, check their types, no, check their targets, and check your type. If your target is not one of those types, then we would need to like bring you up somehow. What do you think? What do you all think about that as a plan? Now, how could I possibly do that? I have, this means we're gonna have a types. Like they're gonna have to be aware of what they are. It's unfortunate. So I'd have to have like a type in the graph node. How do I move something up to be like a sibling with myself? In run, I could reach into my children. So I'm already doing that here. I'm already looping through all my children and then running run on them. I could run on them and then check like, hey child, are you still my child? If not, I don't have like sibling, so I can't pass that around. I could have a vector of like, wait, could I pass it in an event? Maybe I can pass the child in an event. Okay, so what if I do this? We don't need anything. We don't need nothing. We just have our events engine off. What if I add another event, which is like transfer to, and then inside of this event, is having immutable scene states a bad idea? Would it be too memory intensive? Immutable scenes or states. I don't know. With games, a lot of state needs to update, like its location, its other things. So having it immutable makes it really hard to like do things with it or make it change. So I guess like I'm not really sure exactly when I would want it to be fully immutable. Now, immutable as in I have like mutators, like specifically mutators in areas where I can mutate it. That, yeah, I think that's fine. And I don't think that's too memory intensive. So what if I have a transfer to? And then I have this be an anonymous struct here. And so this is going to be a target, which would be a type. So let's say I have this enum here, like our type system. Let's maybe not call it types. This like game object types, game object types. And so we want this to be a well, we have a couple ones, right? We have the scene, we have the rocket, we have the cap, we have the engine right now. So I'm not happy with this right now, because every time I add a new type, I now have to add this in here. It works with the type system, but it also means that I have to like specifically add this in every time, and I might make that as a mistake. Rust should help me with it and like prevent me from making those mistakes. So maybe it's fine because of that. But in traditional, programming, we'd want to minimize this through, some other system. So then in our target, I could say, okay, this is going to be a game object types. And then I have like what I am transferring. So this is the like transfer or like the payload, which is a graph node. And we'll take ownership of it inside of this event. So we're going to transfer to one of these things, and we're going to hand it the child. Okay. I don't know if this is a good idea. Let's fix this here. In our traits update, we're going to get rid of our siblings. We're not going to pass those down. All right, back to 0 errors. Here's our update. Cap. So the cap. No, the cap doesn't know it's being transferred. The rocket is going to be transferring this. So we need to say, okay, so here we are. We've removed. Oh, this is the index. So rocket engine, no. Update. Okay, so here, child component. This is now the cap. I now want to transfer this. So we're going to events.push. And it's going to be events transfer to, which is going to be this anonymous method, which is going to be, hold on, we have it down here, target and payload. So we're going to have a target. Our target is, and then we have this other enum, which is the game object types. Game objects types, and you're going to be the scene. And then we have the payload, which is going to be payload colon the child component. And then we push that in there. Okay. All right. So in the middle of doing this, we've removed the child component from the children. So if I run this, it should run and our engine should disappear like previous, and it's gone. We've turned the engine off, but it's gone. Like, it doesn't exist anymore as far as the game is concerned. All right, back to chat. And I realized something that might be. Can I do this? Put that to the left, move this over like this. Because I have a lot of chat coming in today. Let's pop out of chat. Put this over here. There. Now I can. Oh, what? Why would you do that to me? I hate. Oh man. I think I just lost all the chat that I hadn't read. Hold on, let me see if I have it on my phone. Oh, the last thing I have was, is having immutable state scenes a bad idea? Would it be too memory intensive? And I answered that. Oh my god. Oh, I'm sorry everybody who chatted. I think I lost it. Let me check this other computer to see if it was listening. Sometimes I have it just watching chat. Oh, I do. Okay. So I'm over here. Let's see. Looking at what I have here, we have Cowtel. There must be some way to have it so arc gets cloned automatically when passing to a function that expects that type to implement clone. You can overwrite clone. So implement your own clone. I think that's what you can do. So instead of like deriving clone, implement clone for whatever your type is. And then you can have it do that for it, I think, maybe. No, because that's not the problem. It doesn't know that it needs to clone. You need to manually run clone. So maybe you like have a checkout or something that makes a little bit more sense that really just does a clone. But it's an arc. So maybe you need a wrapper around the arc. I don't know. That sounds, it sounds like really hard to me to like figure out how to like make that look nice.
If you could solve this, it would eliminate your need for needing a global clone of arc. In Python, In Python, you'd have to import every class type you create. Retro more, and then we're caught up with this. Excellent. Okay, retro more in Python, you have to import. All right. Let's let. If it's in a different file, yes, absolutely. If it's in a different file, you do have to do that. And here, I would have to use use statements are the equivalent of this. And you can see I'm importing these library packages essentially and methods and using them here. So it's the use is the equivalent of an import. And caught up with chat. Okay, so I have sent a message now. In the event is the transfer to. Now I need to in run for our graph node. We need to check to see if, let's do this right here. If the thing being if the event is the transfer to, then we want to add him to our own children, and then we can run everything else. So if let this is going to be events transfer to I don't know how to like extract out like this this struct. Like is it this where we're gonna have the essential like I don't know how this is gonna work. I don't know how to do like an if let with like events transfer to. I may have to tuple this, which would make that a lot easier. So equals events. Oh no, I needed a for loop. I need to loop through first. So for event in events. Okay, so we've got our event here. Then if let events transfer to equals event. Expected unit struct, unit variant are constant. So did you mean events transfer to fields? Okay, so would this work? Would I have like target? And then what was the other one? Payload? It does work. Okay, it's essentially destructuring, like the equivalent of destructuring in JavaScript here. So I'm extracting out target and payload from this anonymous struct that's in transfer to. So if I have this, I now need to like determine what I am. Now that's going to be a problem. So in graph node, we also need basically like what are we, like our type. So my type equal colon, and this is a what did I call this? Game object types. So it's going to be game object types. When I create this new, we're going to have to take this in. So in new, we're going to have a my type is a game object types, and then we'll store this in here. So my type. Then inside of here, we can now use this finally. All right, so we're looping through all these events. So now we have a target. So if this is gonna be interesting. How do I compare them against each other? Can I just do like if target is equal to self.myType. Because I want them to check the arms of it. Oh, wait, would it be this? My type. Oh no, because it's a very specific one. Binary operations, partial equal may be missing for this. So we have to implement partial equal for you. So derive partial equal. Back up to here. All right, you're still upset. Can't compare, no implementation. Game object types. Wait, did I do it the wrong one? No, game object types. I now have a derived partial equal, but it may not still be able to figure out how to do it. Help, the trait standard compare partial equal game object types is not implemented for mute game object types. Let's see. You're wondering if having a single global vector that you push commands into would be a better design, or it would run into the same shared mutable state issues. I think it would be easier. It might end up running into the same problem. Maybe. I guess like I don't know your full problem statement, so it's hard for me to like tell. I guess just try it in a different branch, and that way if it doesn't work, you can just go back really easily, and you don't have to like hit Command Z or Control Z like a billion times. Okay, so you still don't say that I can do... Standard compare partial equal. Do I have to add it in here? Standard compare partial equal. Do I have to do that? No. Do I have to dereference you? No. Oh, wait, do I have to dereference you? That's what I have to do. I have to dereference you so that you're not a mutable reference, because I'm comparing like portions in memory. So I don't have to do this entire standard compare partial equals. I just have to derive that. And then this works just fine for me. So now that I know that the types are the same, so if they're the same, let's go ahead and add the payload to my child. So it's going to be self.children.push, and then add the payload in. I take ownership of it, and we're all good. And also, I need you to be a dereference this, so I actually own it at this point in time. Okay. Oh, I realized that the game is above. Okay, let me move this chat up a little bit. There, that works. You'll just have to accept having to clone before passing it to the emitter function. Done? Yeah, done. Excellent. Okay, so now this is part of my child, and then the last thing to do is remove it from the events. So let mute index to remove. This is literally the same thing that we're having to do in the engine body. Index to remove. Yeah. There's got to be some system that I can do besides, yeah, next to remove. Probably like having some kind of like event structure that handles this for me would be best for this. So if we have none, okay, so we found, and if we push the target in, we have to for loop this events dot iter, so turn to iter and then dot enumerate. Then in here we're going to do an index, and then we're going to say index to remove equals a sum of the index. And then after this entire thing is done, then we're going to go ahead and if let sum index to remove equals, no, index to remove. Then we're going to remove this from the events. So events.remove index. Okay. Now it won't like constantly be adding into the children, because that would be fun. I think, let's see, we got 12 errors. So it takes 5 functions, 5 elements, not 5 functions. All right, so now in here we have to add in our types. So graph node new, at the very end, we have to have my type. So let's add this in here. Our type is going to be game object types. You are the cap. So you're a cap. Rocket engine. Game object types. You're an engine. Rocket body. You are the rocket, and then the scene graph. You are the scene. 2 more errors. Cannot move out of payload, which is behind a shared reference. Right, okay, so payload here. So if that events, I do want to take ownership of it. I want to own the payload, but I have a mutable. I just have a reference to the payload, unfortunately, at this point in time, and I have a reference to the payload because I have a mutable reference to the events, and so I'm looping over them. And if I took ownership of them, that would obviously be a problem. Actually, I could do this in here, can't I? All right, hold on. Let's do this. We want to first figure out, is there one that goes to me? So index, this becomes like index to transfer, doesn't it? Index to transfer, it becomes a none. We're going to loop over this. Now, design problem, this is going to make it so I can only move something once per frame. I don't think is the worst problem in the world. I think that'll just mean it will take 2 frames to transfer some, if I want to transfer, sometimes. I could make this like a vector of indexes, but let's not worry about that right this second. So here we're going to go. If let events transfer to. So if it's going to myself, instead of just immediately trying to push into my children, I want to just say, you know what? Index to transfer equals sum this. And then we're going to say, okay, if let sum index equals index to transfer, we're going to have So remove gives me the new element and gives me ownership of it, essentially. So I don't really care about you. Instead, what I want to do, I want the payload. So let's just grab it. So let's do this. Let new child, or I guess like, let's see, component, like game component, equals events.remove. Okay, so this gives me the event that has the payload in it. And I happen to know it's this payload. Is Rust gonna trust me with this? Because I know it's a transfer too. It has to be. Unfortunately, I've abstracted this away a little bit. I wonder if I'm gonna have to do an if let here, just to make it happy. So to get the child to push in, so we're gonna say self.children.push game component dot payload. Yep. It's gonna say, hey, there's no payload on type events. Even though it is there, it doesn't know that it's there. I have to make sure to handle that. And that's the borrow checker, I think, trying to protect me from doing something wrong. Sort of like what you were saying, Cowtel, is like, how do I tell it that it's fine? It's fine, it's okay. My logic is sound. I've never written a bug in my life. I mean, that's what we tell the borrow checker, right? And it doesn't believe us because it's smart. So we'll have to do another if let here. So if let, this is going to be events transfer to. In this case, we don't need the target, but we do need the payload. And then I need to set this equal to, this is going to be event of position index, isn't it? No, game component. Game component. Self.children.push, and this is going to be our payload. All right, and you're happy there. And then we also, we've removed it, and then we pushed this in here. What are you upset about? Missing structure field target. Okay. I thought I had target in there. Okay. Apparently I can't do the underscore. Wait, can I do this as like as payload? No, that's only in use statements. All right. Well, I don't know how to like make this go away. Because I don't think I can do something like this, right? Oh, I can. Okay, that's how to do it. So if let target :_ target. There we go. And then payload comes out like this. No errors. And then it's now passed in. So let's try you. Wait a second. Did that? Oh, I don't know if you see this. The cap is off right away. I see the cap up here. Is the cap on to begin with? I can't tell. Let's make this a even slower burning so we get longer to watch with it. So that means our rocket updates. How much fuel we can have is not going to be a U8. Let's make this like a U32. And for fuel, let's give it like 1,000 fuel. And this might be way too much. Bare Knuckle Waffle, good morning. Yeah, it's still morning for me. And upward movement force is negative 1.5. Am I doing that right? I want this to be like negative 0.51. There we go. I can see we have the cap on here. That's like still like 001. Like I want it to be incredibly slow moving in here, but okay. So we have our rocket very slowly moving upwards, and our cap is sitting nice and pretty here. And as soon as it runs out of fuel, the cap goes up here. So that tells me that I'm successfully doing this. I am successfully transferring ownership of the cap to the scene. But the cap was in, its location was in related to, like relative to the rocket. But now that's being transferred to the scene, it's relative to the scene. So I need to set, okay, I need to set the, what would this be? I need to set the, we need to change the location of the child to be the world location. And not the relative location to the rocket, which is of course 0, 0, 0. And then we have our own location. Okay, so we need to set the child's location. Now, up here in graph node, we have this location here. So we need to set this. Are we even passing that in? When we run, so for loop, index, we do self update and we pass in the children. Okay, so the children then will have the location, meaning that this location is now going to have to be mutable in order to mutate this directly on the child. Let's see. I don't know if I missed anything above this. Chantilly, is the crab the Rust mascot? Yes, the crab is the Rust mascot, and the crab's name is Ferris. What knows the world space? Made to translate to world space using local space as the reference for the other pieces. So everything is relative to its parent. So I guess like the scene knows the world space. What I really want to do is set the child to be I want to set the cap to have the same location as the rocket when I do the transfer over. So here's this update. We move over, like we're moving the child over, and so I also want to change its location. So I want to say child dot location equals self dot location. Wait, is that, do I even know my location? I must. We have the transform, the physics, Local. Oh wait, local. It's. So here's the children, which is a graph node. We have the transform. And then that's the mesh. Let's do some debug statements here. Debug. I want to debug. Can I do child.location? What are you? You're a graph node. Wait, is location not on graph node? Oh, I did it in the wrong place. I screwed it up there. Location. Oh, local. Local.location. Okay, I do have, okay. Okay. So it's local. That's what I have here. Child.local. So an update. And is my transform the global location? Let's try this. I want to use the, I want to debug the transform. Transform cannot be formatted using debug. Okay, so let's go ahead and add that into this. Here, derive debug. Move here. I don't want to move you. I'll just give you a reference. All right, so while that's happening, what knows the world space? Maybe translate to world space using local space as the reference for the other pieces. Yeah, I may have to do that. That may be right. I'm seeing that being done with your code so far today, or have a parent container that holds the rocket and the cap, and that can maintain that world space thing when you pop your cap off of it. I think that might be it. And so transform, I have these coordinates. This looks about right then. So I think this is correct. I think I do know it in the transform of the essential space that like my rocket is. So I can now do child.local.location equals, just set this equal to a clone of transform.location. I need to clone this. I don't want to take ownership of that. Am I meaning to separate the pieces? Absolutely yes. So my idea is that I'm launching, the cap is getting launched off as soon as it goes. Now, the launching, I'm doing this with like this apply force physics velocity, which is not very impressive right now because it's a very slow burn. So I'm thinking I want maybe a different, something different here. So this could be a like a launch, like a component launch velocity, which is a point to F32. Component launch velocity, 0.2, new, and so let's do no X on this, and let's do like 0.2 negative 1.5. So component launch velocity, and here, instead of using our current velocity, we're going to do self.component launch velocity. Yeah, like this is, I'm launching the pieces because I'm trying to like figure out how to transfer one piece to like from one component to another component on the tree. And I think this will work. So now it should have the cap be in the same position as our rocket as soon as it ends. So instead of like transferring up here, it's going to come back down here. And there it goes. The cap actually stayed right there, and it launched a little bit, and then it sort of came back down again. So that worked. We turned the engine off. The engine, sort of, everything disappeared. Everything started falling. The cap separated, came back up. It stayed in the same position that it was supposed to, and then it fell down. Excellent, excellent. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. What if I I mean, is there anything else that I really care to do about this? I think, I don't know. Like we're doing various flags, which is like a type of dirty flag. So basically we're only doing this when we need to. So it's only once, not once per frame, but like once per game. Oh, stupid repeat warning. Yeah, sorry about that. I can't do anything about that. That's part of the Twitch chat. Let's see. What else would I want to do as part of this like example here? Well, first of all, let's put this code up. So rocket cap gets transferred to the scene now. Okay. So that's happening just fine. I guess we could, I wonder if I want to have the, like something else happen. Like we could try to put multiple rockets and just like see how that works. Let's try that. Will this work if I put multiple rockets in here? So here we have a rocket engine. So the cap, the rocket engine, and a rocket body. And like we're pushing these children onto here. If I have another function as part of game state. So function, let's add a rocket. I'm not going to take self because we haven't implemented this yet, so we can't do that. So let's see, let's add a rocket. Actually, that would be really interesting. If I have it add a rocket every n frames or every n seconds. And so like it just sort of appears there at the bottom and then goes up again. So we could do that. Let's do mute self. We're not gonna tank anything. We're not gonna return anything. And we are going to. So here's our rocket mesh that we're creating. We need all of these. So we need the rocket body mesh. We need the flame mesh. We need the cap mesh. The cap, the rocket engine. and the rocket body. The rocket body children gets those things, and then the scene graph. Okay, so if I take all of you out, and I put you in here, it's gonna be very upset. We're not gonna push anything into the scene graph's children right away. In fact, I accidentally created the scene graph up here. Okay, scene graph new. You need to happen up here. You don't need to be mutable. We're just gonna store you away. Then every like frame or every n frames. Wait, how did I lose my chat? There you are. Okay, let rocket body mesh equals this. Okay, so we create the mesh, rectangle. Why are you upset? Question, okay, so we have to return, we do have to return a game result. Like that. Now I'm not returning anything at the end of this method, so let's fix that. Context. So we need context in here. Okay, so take in context. All right, now screen width and screen height. We need you in here. Do we actually need? No, we don't. So I can just move you down here. Heck, at this point, we don't even need context being passed in. That's cool. Now I could have the rocket, like the meshes, not be created every n frames. Like that would make it a little bit, better. But I'm not gonna worry about that right this second. Maybe in the future we'll do this. So add rocket. Now this creates our rocket body, gets these children, and now I want to say self dot the scene graph dot children dot push rocket body. Okay, so if I do this now, in update, if I run this, it's going to every frame create a new rocket, which is probably not optimal. Let's maybe do it slightly differently. Do I have timer coming in? I don't. Let's bring that in. GGEZ timer. Okay, so I think I can do timer. Is it like ticks? Get the number of times the game has gone through its event loop, and it's a U size that would come out. We pass it context. So if timer ticks, if this modulus 100, so every 100 frames, 60 rockets per second. Yeah, this is probably a little bit more than that because I'm not limiting the update right now. Okay, every 100 frames, so modulus 100, if that equals to 0, then we'll do self dot add rocket and pass it into context. Question mark, semicolon. Okay. You're happy with that? It's like a World War III scenario. Yeah, it would be. Except all these rockets just run out of fuel and fall down. So it's really just like a terrible World War III scenario. If I run this right now, we should get a whole bunch of rockets being created at the same location. So we have to wait 100 frames. It gets created, and these, yeah, you see how it's actually trying to create them. And the rocket, that looks terrible. Let's increase our upward velocity just a little bit. For testing, I think that was fine. But where is our graph node? Updates. Our fuel, our upward movement force. Let's make this back to like 0.63 or something like that. That'll make it go a little bit faster. When we create these rockets, we're gonna want to create them in a random location. So we need, we need rand. We need rand. So bring in rand there. When we create a new rocket, we will, let's see, we need to bring in rand. Use, what is it, rand. We'll just bring in all these. That's fine. We can store the RNG generator here. So RNG is rand thread thread range, I think. Oh, come on, what are you? Oh, it's not rand with a capital. It's rand, no. What are you? Thread range. Where are you, thread range? If I do that, will it tell me? I know it's in here somewhere, but I don't remember where. Oh wait, is it now just in here because I imported Prelude? Can I just do that? Yeah, I can. Okay. So when I create a new, this new here, and do let RNG equals thread range. Oh, what is it? Rand thread range like that. That gives me RNG. Then I store this RNG here. Range thread range. Okay, thank you, Bare Knuckle Waffles. And then in add rocket, we can now use RNG to give it the location of where we're gonna put it. So the rocket body mesh, this is fine, but its location. So rocket engine, no, rocket body here. Its location here is a 0.2, so the screen width divided, okay, so we need to figure out a good location for this. So we're gonna do self.rng.genRange. The low, we want, so 0 to, okay, actually the Y is fine. It's this X we want to do. Self.rng.genRange between 0.0 and the high is going to be the, what do I call it? Screen width minus whatever our width is. What is our width? The width of the rocket body mesh is 10. So minus 10. Now, let's say I have this be below the screen. So I want screen height. Actually, we just screen height plus however high the cap is on top of this, which the cap is, I think, -3. So +3. This is a reseeded RNG. I think this works. Every time I do gen range, it should give me a new one. We'll find out together if it like is always still in the same place or if it's in a different location. If I do this now and we run this, let's see if we get rockets in different locations. We do. We get rockets in different locations, all flying up. Every 100 frames. Rockets eventually turned off, and now we should see them fall back down again. Man, they went really... Oh my gosh, they're falling back so far, they're skipping frames. So that's not a problem. Let's see. You don't think you ever really used more than Rand RNG for gen and gen range. You really don't need to reseed. Ideally in apps games that aren't needing security, you can seed at launch and you'll be good to go. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, and I've launched the Apocalypse. Also, Chantilly said it looks good. Awesome, thank you. Man, I like this pattern. This pattern is fun. All right, so our fuel is maybe just a tiny bit high. To make this easier to update, we can just basically say const rocket fuel is, I think we are doing a U32. And we can set this to be, I think I have 1,000. We can make this 100 for right now. I don't have a terminal velocity. We can also add that. So const terminal velocity y equals, oh, you have to be a F32. I don't know what this should be. Let's make it like 3.0. Like it can do at max 3 frames per second. 3 pixels per frame. There we go. I know how to speak sometimes. Let's go update our rocket fuel. So let's go find our rocket body. Here's our fuel. It's a U32, and our fuel is just going to be our rocket fuel. Now, when we fall, that's our physics. 3 challengers per frame. Flames equals flame. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we need to go find our physics update, which we have a single physics update across everything. But it basically is saying, hey, look, if you're affected by gravity, you know, we're hitting you. So apply this force. Here's this run. If self is affected by gravity, we apply a force to self.gravity. And here's this velocity. So we want to really cap our velocity. So if we're affected by gravity, let's cap our velocity, our downwards velocity. So if self.velocity is greater than our terminal velocity y, and it has to be velocity.y, then I want to say self.velocity.y is equal to terminal.velocity.y. So now it can't go any faster than that. And I think that's all that's going here. We have some warnings. Unused variable physics. Right, because a bunch of these aren't using this stuff. And that's fine. We can take some of these warnings away. There we go. No more errors. Let's actually run this. I think we're giving it less fuel. Something seems slightly wrong here. The cap is below. Allow warnings handled. Yes, that would do it. The cap seems to be flying, like floating below the rocket body, which is the opposite of what I wanted. Also, we have that print line for turning the rocket engine off. We can remove that now. Where is that print line? Let's just find it. Print line, turning rocket engine off. Okay, there we go for that. Let's give it less fuel. So we'll just have you go up by 50. And I want to see what happens to the cap as soon as it comes off. Like, as soon as it comes off. It like appears below the rocket. Just not ideal. Dropping like snowflakes, yeah. It almost seems like it's moving down there like very smoothly, which makes me think that my upward velocity of like launching the it isn't strong enough. Like maybe we need to make that stronger. There is. Okay, so here's updates. Our component launch velocity is negative 1.5. What if I make you like negative 3.5? Just you go. You got some A cell, D cell differences there? Yeah, I think I do. It disappears. And I wonder if that's now because it's behind the body. I think it's behind the body. Let's give it like a significant amount of upward force. Maybe like 6. It's behind the rocket. Yeah, I think you're right. Oh man, it barely launches up. Is gravity just that powerful for it that it can't handle it? Now our component launch velocity. What are we doing with this? We're applying a force with component launch velocity to the child. We need to give it a really big sort of push. Because it's just a one-time hit, and as far as it can tell, it's not moving at all. It's standing still. Is it? It can't be acquiring gravity. Okay. It shouldn't be getting a different velocity until it becomes separate. That looks a lot better now. Now the cap sort of like it shoots up and then it falls back down at the same velocity. And so I think that looks good. But I am curious, what is the velocity that they're getting? Okay, you're separating them there. Yes, I am. Game physics on point. Thank you very much, Dunkable. Let's see. Yes, I'm separating them. So I'm transferring the cap is being transferred away from the rocket to the scene. But I'm worried, like, okay, so this happens once, like only ever once. What is the child's velocity before I apply this force? So let's do a debug of child dot physics dot velocity. Dunkable with the tier 1 gift sub to Bare Knuckle Waffle. Thank you so much, Dunkable, for giving that gift sub out. And also, Bare Knuckle Waffle, thank you so much for being here to receive that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Debug, you are a macro. Okay. Child physics, velocity. Let's see if it should be 0. I'm expecting it to get 0 here. It is. Okay, so it is correct. The cap has no velocity as far as it knows. So there's something that we can do here. For our physics component, our velocity is public. That rocket. Yes, it is. Okay, so the rocket. You know, before I apply this force, what if I made the child essentially inherit the velocity of the parent? Then we wouldn't have to have this gigantic velocity because it already has a velocity equal to the rocket, so it becomes relative. So if I do this as child dot physics dot velocity dot y equals and then this could be actually just our own physics, right? So our own physics dot velocity dot y. So if we do that first, our launch velocity doesn't need to be the same. Now that being said, let's I removed the debug. Let's go ahead and show it going off like into the great distance. There it goes. It shoots way farther away now because it starts with the same velocity now as the rocket. So now it's a relative increase in velocity, not a like we have to figure out what we want you to look like to begin with. Dunkable, you have no idea what's going on, but this is cool. So a really quick recap of what I've been doing. This is Rust code, and I've been learning game developer, patterns. Not because I'm a game developer, but because I really find these type of visualizations and doing games is a really fun challenge. And I wanted to, I'm learning currently how to attach objects to each other. So I'm not using anything like Unity that allows you to just click and drag and say, hey, look, the engine is attached to the rocket. And then it sort of handles all that for me. I had to write this code myself, but it's really cool to sort of see it. Does the cap have an escape booster? That's kind of what it's showing. That just made me think, what if I gave the cap an escape booster? Suddenly, then we have essentially 2 stages of rockets. If I gave the child if I gave the child a component of the engine and then some fuel, it would then fly off and do all its stuff. I'm not going to do that for this one, but that's totally doable in this system that we created. So if it's something you want to do, absolutely, please, 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 I would love to see like a pull request or like just tweet out and show it off. Do I code as a job? Do I code for a job as a profession? Yes, I do. I'm a tech lead. I'm a tech team lead for a company called Health Scholars, and it's just web development that we're doing. So I'm not able to touch Rust. It's PHP, Laravel, Vue.js, all that fun stuff. All right. I didn't get to see like the drama of your drops and like what you're trying to get. It's surprising how like it's consistent, but you can come really close. Suppose coding concepts still apply for game development stuff. Well, with the game engine that I'm using, it's called GGEZ. It gives you almost nothing. It's basically just a game loop and interfaces into the hardware and interfaces to like display stuff. That's all it really gives me. Everything else I have to code myself. So very much like heavy coding ability is needed. Not so easy. Ironically, let's see. The easy part is like the graphical display. Like if I want to display things to the screen and I don't have anything like GGEZ, it's actually really hard. Although I haven't done it myself, I just like watched other people do it. This is really cool though. I really like this this sort of like component system that we've created. So I think with this, I'm gonna put in a marker for the end of what we have for the YouTube stuff. So I'm going to end this chapter out. So let's do marker with that.